What's up guys, it's Drifts and Lifts here. So you're watching Drifts and Lifts Volvo Tech Tips of the Week. Today on Tech Tips, just fucking around. Alright guys, so today I'm going to be showing you guys how to replace strut rod bushings on a Volvo 740. So I've been driving the black wagon around for a while now, and what I've noticed is it pulls pretty hard to the right. So this won't necessarily be the culprit, but it's good to do these anyways. Any of you guys with a 740, I really recommend replacing your strut rod bushings. The reason being is that Volvo actually recommends them to be replaced at about 220,000 kilometers. And this car, I guarantee, is on the original strut rod bushings at about 420,000 kilometers. So what happens if we turn the wheel here, I can show you. So here's our strut rod. That's that rod that goes through here, this one. So if you look, the bushing, you can already see how dried and cracked it is. I can like break it off right here. So this basically stops the whole control arm from moving frontwards and back. So if these bushings are in really bad shape, you're gonna have a lot of play in this control arm, and it's gonna be able to go back and forth. So what that's going to do, think about it, if your control arm's going back and forth this way, then that's going to change how your toe is going, and it's going to change mainly your toe actually, because when this moves forward, it's going to, it's not going to be all aligned again. So a lot of the times when you're braking or when you're turning and stuff like that, your strut rod bushings are so, they're so shitty that your control arm's going to be going back and forth. So what we're going to do is replace them, and I'm hoping that that is going to solve my issue. And I can also notice, if you guys look on your cars, you might see a lot more tire wear on one side or something like that. So that's what I'm getting here. Like these Durezas are already down to the wear bars on this side, and the other side they have a lot more tread than that. So I'm going to replace it, and hopefully that fixes our issue. If not, I have to get an alignment anyways, so it shouldn't be too far out of spec just from lowering it and doing the camber mod. But it's always good to do an alignment after you change anything in the front suspension system. So what I'm going to do first is take our wheels off. Alright, so I just took the wheel off. Alright, so we're going to get to our first step here. I guess what we're first going to do is take off this 15mm bolt. So that essentially threads into the strut rod, and all we got to do is take off this nut, and then the stud will push out that way. So once that's out, this whole arm is going to drop down a bit, and then we can essentially push it out this way, that way. So yeah, I'm going to crack this with my 15 here. Sometimes these can be quite tight, so I'm not too sure how. Okay, that one wasn't that bad actually. Actually could have been a little bit tighter. That came off pretty easy. But alright, so actually I guess while I'm here I'll show you guys our new strut rod bushing that we're going to be putting in. So this isn't brand new. I've had this in another car, but this is an IPD strut rod bushing. So they're made out of polyurethane, whereas the stock ones are rubber, so they deteriorate a little bit quicker. This is a really good product. IPD should be giving me royalties for, shouting out their stuff. Come on, IPD, give me a sponsorship here. I need one. But yeah, no, honestly, this is a really good price too. I think shipped to Canada, they're a little expensive. For me at least, I think it costs like $60 to my door. But for you guys in the States, definitely grab a set of these. I think they won't cost more than like 35 bucks or whatever, right? And for the improvement in how solid everything's going to be, it's definitely worth it. So yeah, I'm going to take off that bolt, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like. Alright, so I removed this bolt like from here. As you can see, this kind of curved cambered washer, you want to make sure that goes on the same way when you put it back together, but that's pretty easy. So as you can see guys, look at this bushing. It's all cracked, and it's like crusting off and shit. So I'm gonna assume right now, oh yeah, I can already see on the other side how bad it is. Yeah, there's definitely play in this strut rod, and the control arm was moving back and forth. So this is, I think this is gonna definitely increase the stability of my front end. So yeah, I'm glad that I'm doing this. All right, so I guess the next step is to take out this nut. I'm not too sure what size is that, so I'm gonna figure that out in a sec here. All right, so I got this nut off here. It turned out to be a 22 millimeter, but last time I did this job, I don't believe it was a 22. I think it was a 19, so don't quote me on it. It's not gonna be identical bolt sizes, especially if someone's already worked on the car before. So that nut's off. On the other side, it was a 14, which is kind of weird. A 22 and a 14. It's a pretty big difference. So now I'm gonna grab my hammer. And what I'm gonna do, this is not a hammer, but it's gonna work for now. I'm gonna push that stud out. There we go, you can already see it kind of moving. Okay, so if I reach my arm around here. Okay, one sec, guys. There we go. Okay, so the bolt is now removed. Oh, check this out, guys. Okay, so there's where the bushing was. Here's the old bushing. Look at that. It's just gone. Completely crusted apart, it's just corroding. It literally just fell out when I moved it a bit. So, yeah, I'm gonna smack this rod downwards and pull it back, and it's just gonna slide out of our lower control arm. All right, so I got the strut rod out. That's what a strut rod looks like. Pretty basic little piece of metal. So yeah, actually it was kind of a pain in the ass getting it out because I have the IPD lower chassis brace right here, and it was kind of limiting me from pushing the strut rod far back enough so it could slide out of this hole right here. So I just had to undo those two bolts, drop it down a bit, and it came right out. So now as you can see, we have the other bushing in here. So I'm gonna have to pop that out just like that. And if you take a look at this bushing, yeah, it's equally as bad. See, it's just super crusty, like the rubber's falling apart everywhere. So if we compare that old bushing to our new IPD, look at the difference. Super crust. There's the difference. That looks better in my opinion. So we're definitely gonna throw that in. Oh man. Guys, it's brutal out here. It's like 40 degrees right now. The hottest day I think we've had in like forever. And because of the BC forest fires, you can't even see the mountains anymore. It's just covered in smoke everywhere. So this is pretty fun. It feels like I'm hotboxing in like a campfire or something. Interesting. So we're gonna throw, essentially we're gonna install this the exact same way that we put in our other strut rod, or that we had it in, sorry. So what we're gonna do is take half of this off, like this, and we're gonna stuff this one right there. Then what we're gonna do is slide this back in. All right, so I got the whole strut rod back in. So as you can see, this nut's on and the bolt is through there. There is actually a bushing on the end of the strut rod here. I've never looked into replacing that, but I don't think they wear out near as quick as these strut rod bushings do. So yeah, now we're here. So if you look, the one bushing is on that side. I pushed it through, and now I just slid this bushing onto there. And the next step is to grab this right here. So my bolt and washer, and that's just gonna go right in like that. And it's gonna tighten up. You might need to push it a little ways to get it to tighten and go in. So I'm gonna do that without the camera on. Once I get that tightened, then I can kind of start just doing things back up. Pretty easy procedure. All right, so that is threaded in. You don't want to over tighten this because all it is pressing up against a bushing. So you can kind of keep on going tighter and tighter until the bushing is gonna get, it could crack and get ripped a bit because it's being so stressed. So, you know, you want it nice and snug, but don't keep on cranking on it for like, you know, until the cows come home. But yeah, so mine's nice and tight. I got this bolt back in. So the only thing left is to put the bolts back in for the lower chassis brace, which, you know, most cars don't have unless they have a IPD one aftermarket installed. So that is the job today, guys. Definitely recommend doing this IPD strut rod bushing replacement. Makes a huge difference. All the cars that I have done this on, I always take the bushings out and they look something like this. So as you can tell, that these bushings were doing next to nothing. There's probably, like, you know, a good like ½ inch of play for the, I could actually feel it when I was driving, to be honest. I could feel when I braked really hard, there's like a bit of a clunk in the front end. I think all that was happening was the lower control arm was sliding forward because the strut rod bushings were so messed up. So yeah, that's all I got to say for today's tech tip video. I'm going to be here for a little longer. I think I'm going to swap tires over from side to side because this one is a lot more worn than the other side. You know what, I also just got not new tires, but different tires put on these rims. So maybe I'll try these. I don't think these are very good tires though. They're Nexen old shitty N2000s or something like that. I might save them just for rear tires. That's tough to say. Maybe I'll try them on the front for a bit. And then I'm going to put the 15x8s, the one with the deadbeats rating. I'm going to throw those back on the rear. I just wanted to test out the hub-centric 5x108 to 5x108 spacers. But now that I kind of see what they're looking like, I'm going to put the cool wheels back on because they just look so cool. Alright, so I guess that's all the video is for today, guys. Just a little tech tip, what do you call it? Yeah, so once again, I'm going to say this one more time. Definitely look into replacing this. If you haven't done them already and your car's like, you know, 300 something kilometers, even over 200 sometimes, I really recommend it because honestly, most of the time, like I said earlier in the video, these never get replaced. I don't know why. It seems like, you know, service shops and stuff, they don't recommend them even. Because yeah, every single one I pull apart, they're always old and crusty and super shitty. So yeah, IPD sells them for a good price, the polyurethane strut rod bushings. So I'm gonna wrap up the video there, guys. So things to come for the channel. Like I said in the last video, we got a drift event coming August 13th at Agassiz Speedway. So that's going to be really fun. I'm hopefully going to be bringing the A tractor. Hopefully I can get my buddy Mitch to use his truck to transport it out there for me because, as you guys know, I can't drive it on the road legally now. Mr. Officer did not approve. So yeah, that I'm going to be doing the knuckle mod in the black wagon here, and hopefully once I can find it, I'm looking for a 16T turbo to put on this thing, and to complement that nicely, I'm probably going to get an IPD turbo cam and install that. I'm going to be doing install videos of both of those things, so stay tuned for that. Also, you know, you guys always hear me say this every single video, but make sure to check out the Drifts and Lifts store for your Volvo Drift Ale, Volvo Drift Lager, and soon to come, a Volvo Drift Stout beer with the wagon on it. So here's our designs if you guys haven't already seen them. And then the one with the wagon on it is going to be identical to that. It's just going to have the wagon on it and the color scheme changed a bit, and it's going to be a stout beer instead of a lager or an ale. So yeah, and then don't forget, we also have the Matsuri coming up on September 2nd and 3rd. I just signed Scott up for that against his own will. I was just like, hey Scott, you're signed up for the drift event, and he was pretty stoked because that drift event gets filled up in like, you know, half a day. As soon as registration's up, yeah, people are signing up for that. So me and Scott are in, that's going down. We got 2 drift events coming up, and we potentially may have found a new, not street drifting spot, but it's a little ways away from here, so we're gonna have to go for a cruise. But I think pretty soon here we're gonna make a day trip out of it and go film. It's way up in the middle of the boonies, off the side of the highway. There's like a parking lot with a bunch of stuff, you know, you can make a track out of. So we're hoping that no one's there, and it's a really unpopulated area. Our friend told us about it. So stay tuned for that, guys. We're gonna be filming a really cool video from there. I guess that's it for today. Like and subscribe for stiff ass Volvos. Peace out.